We can bring in our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, great to see you. Firstly, how significant were these protests which we saw over the weekend?
It's important to note that, for example, the trade unions did not call out their people. I think many on the right and the centre will be thinking that it might have been worse. 100,000 people, the Olympics are on still. We will see whether this idea gathers momentum or dwindles somewhat. I think out amongst ordinary people, a lot of people are getting tired of the entire issue, and therefore that might break people's participation in this sort of thing. We'll have to see. That said, 74% of the French people in a poll said they felt that Emmanuel Macron had not respected the results of these parliamentary elections earlier in the summer. 55% said they thought the election had been stolen. So it's to be seen whether this thing will gather momentum or not. Apart from that, of course, there is a lot of disquiet about the fact that MPs, candidates in those summer elections, and voters collaborated to block the possibility of the Rassemblement National on the far right winning a majority. That was a successful manoeuvre. It meant that they did not get a majority of MPs. But against that, there is the fact that they did have the largest popular vote. 9 million voters voted for the Rassemblement National, despite this effort to block them out. And they still are the single party with the highest number of votes. So it's a messy election anyway. And a lot of people will just now be watching to see what happens now Barnier has taken the reins.
Let's talk about Emmanuel Macron's position. Is he skating on thin ice? Because just last night at the closing ceremony at the Paralympics, he was reportedly booed.
Yeah, he is not in a good place. He will certainly not want to go through this again if this government is toppled, and the left have said they will, at the first opportunity, the left-wing alliance within Parliament will, at the first opportunity, table a motion of no confidence. It's not clear that they would win that. Important to know that the far right, whilst not giving a blank check, they say, to Michel Barnier, they have said they will not automatically try to topple this government. But the left are keen to do that. Macron will not want to go through this again. He will then have to find another prime minister. He is very fragilized by this, to use the French word. He let it be known at the weekend that he will govern, and he will preside, and Barnier will govern. That is actually what is meant to happen under the French system anyway.
Yeah.
But Macron has been so hyperactive, it's often been difficult to see where his power stops and the Prime Minister's starts. I think perhaps we might expect to see him with a different relationship with the French, more out in the countryside than he has been until now. Importantly, his ministers will no longer go to, his advisors will no longer go to ministerial meetings, and he will not share the same advisors as Barnier. It's important to show that this is a change.
It's a change, but what can we expect from the incoming Prime Minister in the days to come?
Yeah, he has to choose his team still, and he will have no doubt have told those that he's considering to join his team what sort of direction he hopes to take the government in. But the rest of us will not get a public outlining before Parliament of his policy direction until early October, he has said. So we won't know the team until a few days from now, over the coming weeks, and he will then outline his direction. We can expect many of the priorities of the mainstream right from which he comes are not very different to the priorities of the Rassemblement National.
Exactly.
We can expect an emphasis on law and order and security, which all the polls suggest the French people want to be a priority and to be sorted out. Law and order, immigration, cost of living, they will be his priorities. And he's a consensus builder. He will try and make this thing work.
We'll see how the story pans out. Thank you very much for that, Angela. Angela Diffley there.